I've been watching Dr. John Campbell's YouTube channel. I think it was a video I had to take down showing the nanobots in the people who got the jab, and the long fibrous, these in the autopsies, the long white fibers that they're finding in. So people have been, on a mass scale, people have been genetically modified. And then we're looking at the excess deaths and all the turbo fatal illnesses, everything from cancer, MS. They have pulled a fast one on millions and millions of people. It's insane. But let's move on from that because it's too dangerous still to talk about. And W's asked a question here, which I wanted to raise as well, and that's your thoughts on the tariff play that Trump. We saw the rapid escalation with China. We saw the Trump slump in the stock market and the rebound. Again, is there a method to his madness?
Absolutely. There is something to be said from starting the negotiations at a different position, and Trump is very good at doing that. However, I had a guy named Matt Smith on my podcast a couple weeks ago. He's Doug Casey's partner, and Doug wrote the foreword to my book with Berwick. And they were coming at it from a purely economic standpoint. And they were looking back in history and when the last time all these massive tariffs kind of kicked off. And it was the same time over the last two different pivots where the money system changed considerably from that point forward. And they were saying, listen, this is used as a tool to club into submission all of these other countries to get them on board with changing the monetary system. And he was talking about going back to a gold-backed system, and that the tariffs and gold price and these guys actually, Matt and Doug, come out of the mining stock industry, so they know a ton about gold and they know what's happening, and they're watching all this gold come in from the beginning of the year 2025. They said that every single flight that's going London to New York has gold in it. Coming from London to New York, he said every single plane that's coming has got gold. So something's happening, and the tariffs are a part of this. Now, how it ultimately plays out, you just use it as a tool and negotiate. If it's nothing more than a negotiating tactic, then you can use it to extract concessions from countries that you might not normally get. And so people would look at that and they would say, well, that's smart. But it could be part of a much bigger agenda to devalue the dollar, reshore a bunch of factories inside the United States. And in doing so, I think ultimately that would be probably better, but you're going to go through hell to get there. So I think it's a fascinating time to be paying attention to this, because we've never seen anything quite like this.
Yeah, it is fascinating to watch it in the markets, because the volatility just went crazy for a little bit there. It's steadied now. Do you think the markets will get shook up again, or do you think it's stabilized here?
Well, I was in Hong Kong 2 weeks ago, and part of what we did was I met with these two PricewaterhouseCoopers partners. You always get the good information at the horse track, right? So we had them we were at the horse track, and we talked about what was going on with shipping out of China. And he said, they were saying, listen, there's just a bunch of ships loaded up with nowhere to go. And he said, some of them are being sent to Vietnam and run through there, sort of laundered through there, and then sent out to America that direction. But he's like, you guys are in for a big surprise in a couple months when all the Chinese goods that you're expecting to be there are not there. So that's what they said. They said to brace for impact.
Wow.
Yeah.
So question from BB. Thanks for the super chat. How do we expose and stop worldwide elite money laundering and money hoarding?
I mean, I have no problem with money laundering. as a concept. You know what I mean? Because it's trying to move it around so that the government doesn't see it. And I'm inherently in favor of that. I don't like the elites doing it because I don't like them. But I like the idea of the little guy who launders money, though I don't proclaim to be an expert on how to do it.
We got a few more questions coming on the Diddy trial. DC, how many capable minions does Diddy have? And is he paying from a side account, do you think?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure there's all sorts of deals being made, threats being made. I mean, I can't. You've got to think he's desperate, right? That it's maybe real kicked in, and he's sent out the word, hey, whatever we got to do.
Well, one of the reasons they wouldn't release him on bail was because of his tendency to threaten people. Jessica's wondering, what do you think of the new prosecutor running the Diddy trial?
I have to confess, I don't know anything about the new prosecutor.
I'm not aware of that either. What about Qatar giving Trump a plane? So I was speaking to Ryan Dawson about this morning.
Yeah.
Let me just see what he's saying. So
sweep it for bugs. I mean, obviously, you want to like make sure there's not microphones, but short of that,
Ryan Dawson's losing his sight, sadly, so he can't come on. But he did say the following about the turnaround in Trump. So they caught Mike Waltz spying. Israel was actively trying to force the US into a war with Iran, whereas Trump was just talking big to try to get a better deal. Trump did everything for them, and they still undermined him. That pissed him off. Plus, Qatar and Saudi Arabia finally realized just pay more than Israel does, and he will favor you instead. And then my question to Ryan was, so is this permanent, or will he be reversing again tomorrow? And Ryan said they find ways to weasel back in. Trump did a $142 billion deal with Saudi Arabia. So he's team Arab for the duration of his trip. Any thoughts on that, Charlie?
I'm in agreement. I mean, I think that it's so funny here in the US on social media where they try to go, oh, I can't believe the undue influence of Qatar on the Trump administration. And you just go, are you really? Are we going to play this game? This is embarrassing. We all know who's the bigger influence on Trump. We all know that they're not building Trump communities in Qatar. But they are in Israel. That's where his loyalty has always been. He's part of that crew. I think he might just be shaking down the Arabs for a while for some concessions. Again, I did an episode on Trump, and I called it the good, the bad, and the orange. And the orange I described as just Trump being kind of a crazy person, like a borderline lunatic. And the things like renaming the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, that's an orange thing. And sometimes Trump just does orange things. Like, will I accept a $400 million plane from Qatar? Yeah, I'll accept it because I know it'll make the other side crazy and I'll get it for free. But that's just I would describe that as an orange thing. The things he does to infuriate people, and they're not necessarily bad. They're just kind of, I don't know. They're just entertaining, I guess.
So do you think Trump's relationship with Netanyahu is teetering?
I mean, I think there's a political calculation being made that Netanyahu is on thin ice. And I don't think you want to appear to be overly loyal to a guy whose time is almost up. So he probably has made a calculation that being Team Netanyahu isn't a winning